I'd like to kick off this session with a question. You'll answer it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being never, 10 being always. I perform well on tests. Last question. I begin studying for tests well in advance, minimally a week. All right. I will let the class know via email how we responded to that to see where we fall, to see if we have a pattern of we perform better on tests when we prepare for them in advance. I have another question I'm going to ask, and that is, what would you prefer doing? Turning in a paper or taking a test? Now for me, I would pick turning in a paper, and that's because studying is so broad and unknown. I never know really when I'm done. I never know really I am good, I am done preparing, I am done studying, right? But a paper, I know when it's done. It comes out of the printer and there we go. So some of you might say, I prefer taking tests because, you know, I don't have to do all this work in advance. I maybe can walk in and wing it. Oh, oops, I didn't perform like I wanted to. But there's something about, I completed something versus not turning anything in, even if I hadn't studied. And so some of you may think that that is easier. The truth of the matter is they both involve time, effort, and in some regards are never done when you try to get the best product you can. But I want this session to focus on some very tangible, real ways, if you want to do well on a test, that you can say, yes, I am ready. I am prepared. That may help reduce anxiety in the preparation stages, but also even in the day of test-taking stages. All right, so let's take a look at what's involved in this session on test taking. Okay. You'll take a look at some overview videos with a variety of helpful tips on test taking. And then we're going to take a look at this overcoming test anxiety, which may be one of the bigger issues that you face. And then you can also listen to some tips on that the test, before the test, during the test, and post-test strategies. This session is all about Core Assessment 6, the last of your core assessments. Woohoo! Right? But it is got 4 parts. It does have 4 parts, and we're going to take a look at those right now. Okay, this is where you would access the Core Assessment 6 test-taking directions. And so we're going to do that now. But here's something that's different about this one. These are directions only. This document isn't a fill-in-the-blank or a worksheet in and of itself. It is the directions you need. So you might want to just print it out for yourself so you can follow along specifically. And there are indeed 4 parts to the test-taking core assessment. The first one will be to complete a test-taking anxiety survey, calculate your results, and submit a reflection. All right, that's 1. And I'll show you, click here for part 1. This is where you find the test-taking anxiety survey and reflection document. So now this maybe looks a little more familiar. This is where you're going to have to take it, get your results, and it tells you the results of your results, and then you would write your score and your reflection here. Notice that it's 6 to 8 sentences, so spend some time really reflecting on it. And then you're going to submit that at this location for Core Assessment 6. You'll see where the submission goes there. So that's 1. Moving on to number 2. Number 2 says read the true-false section on Chapter 9. So you need Chapter 9. These pages, 251, 252 of the textbook, and look at what is specifically discussed as absolutes and qualifiers. This is a strategy that you can really use during the test on true-false, especially if you do not know the answer. The idea behind it is an absolute. If I say I always am on time, more than likely that's false, because there's going to be once in a while you might not be on time, but I am often on time. That's a qualifier. Probably leads to the statement being true. So you're going to get some practice with absolutes and qualifiers by completing a keyword exercise. So I'm going to take a look at that, and you'll see, click here for part 2, and that's the keyword exercise. Again, you're going to save it as your own. I prefer that you use a different color font. It makes it stand out to me, and if you want every single point, make yourself stand out, right? And you're going to do your best to complete this worksheet by saying, and here's an example, always is an absolute, sometimes is a qualifier. And you're going to complete that, little X's all the way down, and then ha 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 ha, now add your own words and categorize them. So pretend you're the master test maker. And what would you use for different examples of an absolute or a qualifier? All right, part 3 is the master study plan. No, it isn't. That's part 4. Part 3 is choose one of the following activities to demonstrate your understanding of test-taking techniques and strategies. And you get a choice here in part 3. You can create a visual display such as a mind map or a poster, a Prezi or a PowerPoint, a graphic organizer which could be like a worksheet type thing, that outlines 10 strategies or suggestions for taking multiple choice, note that, true, false, essay, and short answers. So there's 4 categories that your poster or your mind map, your PowerPoint might contain or will contain, and then you're going to submit your creation at the link. Or you can develop a game show template with at least 10 game show questions on test-taking strategies. The questions need to contain a combination of true, false, multiple choice, and fill-in-the-blank questions, like strategy questions, right? And you can consult pages 241 through 262 in your textbook. And you may use online templates to create your game shows, such as Jeopardy, Family Feud, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Or you can create your own, and then you will submit your creation. So I'm either going to get a game show or a visual display, and I may share some of these with the whole class. Maybe we'll play your game, so to speak. All right, so that's part 3. Again, I'll go back to the assignment area. You still submit it. It's something you've created, but you'll still submit it in this section. And now we're on to part 4, which is the master study plan. Here is where you will think of a class that you are taking and prepare a master study plan for it. I'm going to click to the assignment to read the directions specifically so I don't leave anything out. You're going to identify one of your most challenging current courses, and using information on that course and your knowledge of upcoming exam, presentation, or essay, apply your preferred VARK learning style and complete the master study plan in order to create a detailed plan for your success. Okay, and so let's take a look at that master study plan. If you've got a test coming up, and I have many folks out there that have tests, you don't have to, you can apply it to your exam that is coming up in any class, any situation that you might have an exam coming up. So if you're going to be taking even a standard exam of some sort, you can use it for this. If you have questions on what you could use it for, email me. So these are great questions you're going to fill out. Again, you're going to copy it as your own. You're going to fill out the answers to the questions as the best to your ability, but use some thought, right? And use different colored fonts to fill this out. Now, I am telling you, this little template is a great template for every time you have a test coming up. Print this out and just think it through. All right. If you don't have one specifically coming up that you know of for sure it's on the calendar, then think about your most challenging subject. And this could be your alternative if you don't have specifically a test. This is the only class you're taking, and we do give those quizzes, but you don't specifically have a large test coming up, then I want you to think about your most challenging subject that you know you're going to be taking and apply it to that. And I think you can still answer most of these questions regarding that and strategies, because it's really the strategies and coming up with your master study plan. I encourage you, this is very tangible ways where you can say, am I ready? You look at your master study plan and you can say, I am. So, again, there are 4 parts to Core Assessment 6. There's the test anxiety survey and reflection. There's the keyword exercise. There's number 3, part 3 is the your own creation, whether it's a visual display or whether it is a game show on study strategies, and then finally completing the master study plan. All 4 of those different files will be submitted here at this link. So, without further ado, I'm going to let you start preparing to be the most successful test takers in the world.